Hello friends, and welcome to you with this new video of our course Flutter 2.5 with extra features. First of all, thank you for watching my channel. I do hope you subscribe to encourage me to share with you more of my experiences with this. And if you do like this video, please hit the like button and hit the notification bell so you could get the latest from my channel. This video and the next one will be a continuation of what we are talking about in the previous two videos. We are using the provider API along with Google Map and PostgreSql for database. In the previous video, let's recap what we've done. A user or a buyer, whatever, type something, want to search that something on our application database, for instance, a company or a shop or whatever, and then hit the button, the search button. We take this text, send it to our database, query that thing. If it's available, then we retrieve it. We fetch all the data along with it that is accompanied with that text, and then we assign that data to an instance of a provider. That's what we have said in the previous video. So this video is a continuation of what we were talking about. This is the data that we have fetched from the database. Okay, now we need to assign this data that we have fetched to an instance of a provider. So the first thing is that we need to create a provider. Let me check the voice, which is still running. Okay, so first thing is that we need to create a provider. So this is the provider class, which extends with the ChangeNotifier. Now we need to create a list. This list will encapsulate all the data that we will fetch from the database. So whatever data we will get from the database, we will encapsulate in this list. So we need to get the getter for this list as well as a setter. The setter will take also a list. This is the list that we will get from the database. So this is the getter and this is the setter for this list. Okay, this is number one. Number two, we go to the app.dart. We need to register this provider with our application. Otherwise, we will not be able to use it. So this is step number one. As you know, as I have said in previous videos, that we will use the multi-provider. This is why I was using a multi-provider, because you never know, you might need more than one provider in your application. So multi-provider will give you this capability to use multiple providers. So in this case, now we have registered this new provider. Step number three, let's go to our home page. In our home page, we need to go to our build. This is our class, our stateful widget, which consists of a build. In this build, we will create an instance of that provider, which is the provider from the provider package, which takes this type, which is the type of search address provider, which is exactly this one. Okay, now once we have created our instance from this provider, then we can start using it. Okay, so this data we got from the database, we will assign it to this set address result, which is this method. Okay, and now we have set these details to the provider. But there is one thing I need to draw your attention to. Now, we have said in the previous video that since this is a future, this data that we are retrieving, it's a future. So it's either return with data or return an error. If it's an error, we said that we will show a snake bar showing some error message. Whatever error message that you wish, it will be shown in here that some error happened retrieving the data. Or if the future return, now in this case, when it returns, it can be in two ways. Either this, what was the user searching for, is not saved in our database, so there is no data for this text, there is no data for this company or for this shop. In this case, we will get an empty list. In this case, we need to show also a snack bar. In this snack bar, we inform the user that this, what he was searching for, a company or a shop or whatever, is not saved in our database. That means there is no data for this search. So whatever he was searching, we not have any information about it. Okay. Otherwise, if what he was searching is available and it is registered and it's saved in our database, then this feature will come with a list of data. In this case, we will assign this to the instance of our provider. So this is the whole process how we assign the fetch data from the database to an instance of a provider. Once we have done this, then we can move in to the page. In our case, we will go to the map page, which is this page, because this is where we are talking about in this tutorial. We need to see how we can implement the provider with the Google Map. As you can see here, this is widget in our application. This widget requires three things. We retrieve the text, another text, and then we need a latitude and a longitude so we can show on the map. So we can show on the map. That's what we need. Okay? So, let's move in. This is the design of, as we said, of the page, which is just a normal design. This is the design of it. It's a stateful widget. Okay, very simple design. Here we need to create an instance of that provider, of the search address provider, of the same provider. So we need to create an instance of it. That's step number one. Now each data that we need to retrieve from that provider is saved in our database, of course, okay, and we need to fetch it. So when we want to fetch it, of course we need to open a connection with the table, with the database, and then with the table, and then we call a select. These are the data that we need to fetch from that table. A range 0, 1, 2, 3. These four things will be encapsulated in our provider in this order. 0, because this is, we will return a list in this case. We will get a list. So these are assigned 0, 1, 2, 3. And in this case, when we wish to use or retrieve the data, this name and this name, and we should get the order of each item from that list. So if we need to get the name, for instance, this is the name, which will be the first one. The first one is the name. In our database, it will be on order 0, on order number 0. So that's why we use the provider and that list and element number 0, element order 0. I hope you have got the idea, because we are retrieving a list of objects. List, first one is 0, second one 1, third one is 2, and like so. So this one will be 0 and this one will be number 1, which will be the address. So the address, the same thing, the instance provider from the list, and then the element at number 1, which will be the searched address name. Okay, that's number 2. Now the third thing is that we need to design the map, which will be this one. So this is the design of the map, which will, it's a very simple design. It's not an important, but what's important is that how we can get this map. That's what's important. Okay, so this is a container which contains a child. Now this child will get this class, map design, map design. This is the class of the map design, which is also a stateful widget. Okay, these stateful widgets have two variables, two properties, which is the latitude value and the longitude value. Okay, now I will skip these things because I will talk on another video. Again, we will implement the same provider, okay? We will create an instance of it, and the same thing we will get element number 2, which is in our database, this one, 0, 1, 2, and 3, and of course the longitude will be number 3. Now, suppose that for whatever reason there was some error retrieving the latitude and the longitude, for whatever reason. Now we need to give an option, we need to give a solution actually. We cannot just show an exception in here, because we will have a red image, which means that we will have an exception, which is a very, very bad thing for you as a developer. So what we will do, we will use, if it is null, then we give a default latitude and a default longitude. In case, for whatever reason, we had some error in here and we couldn't get this value, at least we will have a default values that will be assigned to the latitude value and to the longitude value. Okay? Now, here is how we will use the map class, which, by the way, which reminds me of one thing. Now, all these, we require these APIs that we need to import, by the way. These are the APIs that we require when we wish to use the Google Map. I suppose that I have said it before, but it's no harm from saying it over again. These are the APIs that we wish to use when we want to use the Google Map. Okay, just as a reminder for you. So now we will use this map class from the map Google Map. This map takes a controller. This controller actually is the thing that controls this map, how it moves, where it will show this red marker. What are these things in here? So this is the controller that will control the movement of the thing, of the map. Now there are other things which we will, if we want to zoom in or zoom out, or the scaling, that we will talk in the next video. But for now, this will be in the controller. It will take a map controller class. The map controller takes a location. The location takes a latitude and longitude. In this case, we will use the latitude and the longitude that we have generated in here. These are the values, okay, which either we will get it from our provider, or in case we have an error, we set some default values. So that's how we use the Google Map with the provider and with the, of course, the PostgreSQL database. There are some other things that when we wish to use, if we need to use the markers, if we need to use the zoom in, the zoom out, these are, we will talk some other video. I hope this was all about these few videos of talking about using the provider with the Google Map and the PostgreSQL database. If you do like these videos and if you found it good for your work, I hope you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel to encourage me to share more of my experience with you, and hit the notification bell so you could get the latest videos from my channel. Thank you very much.